Welcome to the Power of Your Mind podcast. I'm Victoria Gallagher, your host. Have you been attempting to use law of attraction or hypnosis to attract financial abundance, a soulmate, or career success? Would you like to be happy, motivated, and successful? Have better health, enjoy more fulfilling relationships, overcome struggle, and gain mastery over your life? Then join me on this amazing self-help podcast where you'll unleash the power of your mind. I'll be sharing 20 years of wisdom and techniques of hypnotherapy, law of attraction, visualization, meditation, personal growth, positive affirmations, and other effective methods to help you tap into the great power which resides in your mind and become the best version of yourself. Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You're listening to episode number 40. I'm Victoria Gallagher. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, law of attraction coach, and founder of hyptalk.com. That's HYPTALK.com. And so be sure to stop by and sign up for your free self-hypnosis video training course. And for our listeners who found us through Power of Your Mind podcast, you can get a 35% discount on your first order of hypnosis downloads when you apply the code podcast to your shopping cart. So today I am so excited to introduce, and maybe many of you already know, Helen Midas. She's a very special guest. Helen's mission is to raise the profile of the hypnotherapy industry globally, and she specializes in helping hypnotherapists have a six-figure turnover within 12 months, just as she's done with her own business. And we'll talk about her story in just a little bit here. Helen has over 500 hypnotherapists on her mentoring program from over 10 countries around the world. She is the founder of HypnoFit, which is a thriving hypnotherapy clinic in Melbourne, Australia. HypnoFit has helped thousands of people suffering from symptoms of depression, anxiety, and weight problems. In 2018, Helen presented at conferences in St. Louis, New York. Woo, that's where we met. Yes. At Hypnovis, New York, Boston, Chicago, and London. Helen was honored to be awarded the prestigious Hypnotist of the Year Award in 2018 by Mid-America Conference in Chicago. And Helen's mission is for hypnotherapy to be the go-to profession when people are presented with life's challenges and not the last resort. As most of us are familiar with, like, I'm coming to see you, this is my last chance for success. So Helen's motto is, if I can do it, you can do it too. Be the living example, not the talking example. Helen is also the co-organizer of HypnoBiz Australia, with Selena and Joanne Eades. I'm going to be presenting there next year. Woo! And so today, I'm really excited to bring Helen to the show. She's going to be sharing with us some of her insights about manifesting business success. So welcome to the show, Helen.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Victoria. I'm so excited.
I know, I'm excited too. And, I thought since I was just doing a Facebook Live a little bit ago, and I was sharing, as I'm trying to be more authentic and genuine and share the reality of my life with people so that people can gain insights and learn from my own, where I'm at, what are my, struggles right now. We're all at, some level struggling with something in our life, right? I mean, even after you figure this out, you're going to have, new struggles. So my struggle has been here I just created this wonderful manifestation or affirmation group. And I've been dancing around this topic with myself, wanting to put together my manifestation. Well, my real manifestation that, my real affirmations would include wanting to make a, 7-figure income a year. That's my next mission, right? And so I was sharing with people about that, and I felt like, oh God, are people going to think that are people going to think that, bad of me? Are they going to think I'm, just all about money? And so I thought, we would maybe continue that conversation a little bit and maybe talk about how, like, was that ever something that ever came up for you? Why do people have these kinds of limiting beliefs? And also just to share a little bit about your story and how you got to be the person that helps other people to create these amazing 6-figure businesses.
Okay, well, I guess for me, it started over 2 decades ago where, I had no idea about the law of attraction, where I was suffering from depression and chronic anxiety. And I went on this journey to really free myself from all of those symptoms, which led me to being a hypnotherapist, because it was through hypnotherapy that I was able to, um, live an empowered life. And so I wanted to pass that on. And usually that's what happens in our profession. We don't wake up one morning and decide, oh, I know what I'm going to do when I grow up. I'm going to be a hypnotherapist. Usually we have some sort of adversity, some sort of challenge that has pushed us along that path, and that's what happened with me. And so through hypnotherapy, I was able to feel empowered. I was able to feel good about myself emotionally. And so then, after a period of time, so I'd been working in corporate Australia for 22 years, and that's when I was no longer satisfied and no longer happy about continuing my career in corporate Australia, because I had this realization that I'd been working for 22 years and I was going to have to work for at least another 22 with the mortgage that I had. And so then I started thinking about what it was that I really wanted in life. And with everything that I've ever wanted, it's not like it's ever come effortlessly for me. It's just that I seem to have attracted what I wanted because I was very specific about what I wanted up to that point. And I'm an action taker. I take action. So I take action, I know what I want, and it will end up coming to me. But I never actually thought that I was manifesting this. I just thought that I had to work really hard. So this is the thing. I was brought up with a really hard work ethic. My parents are still, my parents are in their late 80s. Dad's 89 and mum's 87, and they work very hard still. They don't have paid jobs, but they're always, outside in the garden, cooking, baking. It's like they're so busy. You're always going over there. It's a hub of activity, and they're in their late 80s. And so we were brought up with this very strong work ethic. And
Yes.
so it wasn't until my business started to really take off that I started to notice that I think there's something more to it than me working hard. I think that that I am attracting exactly what I'm thinking about, and because I am taking action, it's working out that way. But it all came to a head when the biggest, because sometimes what actually happens is you have these little messages along the way that show you that this is what's happening, but it hasn't, it didn't hit me on the head
Yes.
that this is what is happening. And so the biggest confirmation to me about the law of attraction was in October 2015. I was watching yet another Elvis Presley documentary, and I'm a big Elvis Presley fan. And I was watching a documentary, and they were showing Graceland and in Memphis. And I said to my husband, I said, you know what? No matter what, next year I'm going to Memphis. I am not staying one more year. It was always on my bucket list. I'm not having another year without me going to Memphis. So at that point, I made a decision. It wasn't like, let's see if we've got the money. How can we work it out with my work commitments? It was a decision. It was like, that's it. I'm doing it. I'm going next year. It's going to happen. I was determined, and I knew it was going to happen. I'd made the decision. Well, the very next morning, and this is the wonderful thing about the law of attraction, that once you've decided something, the wheel's in motion without you even knowing the how happens. So the very next morning, I received an email from someone I never heard of before. I didn't really know about the American hypnotists in the United States. It was William Mitchell, who is the creator of the Heartland Hypnosis Conference in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yes, I met him at the HBTI convention just last week.
He's a wonderful, wonderful man, and he emailed me and invited me to be a speaker at this conference. And first thing I did was Google what's the distance between St. Louis and Memphis? Because to me it was like, that's where my head was at. What's the distance between St. Louis and Memphis? I never really considered this to be a work opportunity that I needed to take advantage of. I just thought there is something really funny happening here, because last night I decided, this morning I get a random email from someone I've never met, and he's invited me, and I find out that it's 4.5 hours drive
Oh my goodness.
from Memphis to St. Louis. And I went straight away, I responded and I said, I'm in.
Absolutely. And that's key. I love, so there's two things that I feel are really strong principles here. Number one, you said that you made a decision.
Yeah.
You decided without having to get caught up in the how, because the how will stop you every time. I'm not necessarily every time, but it will you'll either prolong it, or you'll get caught up and you reduce your vibration. Just
Absolutely.
making that decision and getting excited about it. And,
Yes.
is that saying that you don't have to take some sort of action? You took an action. You had to say yes. You had to Google and get on, and the second part that I picked up on is that you saw it as an opportunity. You took something that maybe somebody else wouldn't necessarily have connected the dots, and said, this is my ticket to Memphis, or
Yeah.
it was Memphis. This is my ticket. But you took that and you said, this is my ticket to Memphis. This is how it's happening. And now I just have to go the extra 4.5 hours.
Exactly. And for me, it was like, I'm definitely doing it. And William was shocked. He didn't actually expect an Australian presenter to actually go, yeah, I'm there. Because, of course, it's completely self-funded and all the rest of it. So what actually happened then, it was then that at that first conference in 2016, in April 2016, first time I went to the United States, basically a brand new market opened up to me. And the other thing that happened for me was, when I landed in America, was the American audience and the American people, I instantly thought, these are my people. Because Australians are a little bit more reserved, and it takes a little bit of time to get them revved up and excited and so on. And I'm a very excitable person. And so, when I first went over there, I didn't know what kind of response I would get. I thought they might know everything I had to teach them. I don't know what Americans are like. These are Americans, right? So I didn't know what to expect. And then from the very first presentation, when they're nodding with everything I'm saying and they're right in there with me and they're supporting, I thought, oh, I love these people. I love Americans. And I tell you, I had the best presentations in America, because I just felt that unity, and I just felt that I was in the right place at the right time. And from that moment, apart from the fact that I ticked off my bucket list of going to Memphis, of course, that moment, a whole new market opened up to me with regards to hypnotherapists who are the same as the hypnotherapists here, who have the same problems, the same challenges, and also needed my help. And so from there, William talked to other conference organisers, ended up being invited to Boston, ended up being invited to Hypnothoughts Live. And all these things were happening really, really quickly, because I wanted to see Graceland.
That's so amazing. And I can relate. I won't go into my story because it's not the Victoria show today. But I can relate a lot on the conference, just having that intention, to do something opened up all of these other opportunities
Exactly.
that you didn't realize existed. And my first exposure to you was at HypnoBiz New York last May. And it's just amazing to me when I saw you present, and I saw your name on the list of presenters, and it's like, when I saw you, it's like, how did I not know of this person before? And, and I didn't know this part of your story, that was really, your first time coming out, during that time frame, was really your first time coming out to the US to start this whole tour out here of the hypnosis conferences in the US. And now here you are, one of the co-organizers of the HypnoBiz conferences.
That's right. And this year, it's going to be my 4th year now in the United States presenting at conferences. So this is my 4th year coming up this year, which is incredible. But just to finish off the Elvis story, before we move
Yes.
on, something incredible. Like, what actually happened was, after seeing Memphis on one day, I had to go and see Elvis's birthplace the next day in Tupelo. And I went there, and at Tupelo, at Memphis, at Elvis Presley's birthplace, I bumped into a childhood friend of his, Guy Harris, who had remained friends with him until the end of his years. We sat and we talked. He invited me to sit down. He opened the trunk of his car and he got bags of photos, and he shared me stories that I'd never read before. And he gave me a photo, not just a print of a photo, a real photo of him and Elvis.
Oh my goodness.
So I am 1 degree separated from the man that I have adored all my life. And the funny thing was when I was telling my story at Heartland Hypnosis Conference, as I was presenting, that's the first time William Mitchell heard the Elvis connection. He didn't realize. And he's a minister, and he stood up and said, "Praise the Lord, Elvis brought her to us."
Oh my God, I love that.
Elvis brought her to us. He said, of course, then the following year, I was the keynote speaker at Heartland Hypnosis Conference. That year, I did 8 presentations. And, it's through these conferences that I met Selena. I happened to sit next to her at the NGH in Boston, and the exercise that we had to do, excuse me, was you had to partner up, and Selena, who I just met, partnered up with me. And it was interesting because at the end of the session, I said to her, because this is how I connect with people, not through business cards, and I always try therapists through Facebook. So I said to her, "Send me a friend request." And she said, no, I'm not on Facebook. I don't do Facebook. I said, "What?"
Oh, yes.
You gotta get onto Facebook, girl.
Yes.
And that's how our connection started with Selena. So it was by me sitting next to her. Again, this is where you do not get caught up with the hows. So the thing is with that story is that, of course, it was always a dream of mine to present around the world. It was always a dream. It wasn't like that wasn't a dream. It's just that I didn't actually take any specific action towards that, even though I was working on my business every day. But my desire to visit Memphis, basically both things happened at the same time.
If you find value in this personal growth related material, I strongly recommend that you sign up for your $1 trial to my Personal Growth Club. Just head on over to personalgrowthclub.com and get a whole month of premium Personal Growth Club video training materials, meditations. You also get 6 free hypnosis sessions that are valued at over $174, all for this trial of just $1. Even if you cancel, you can keep the 6 hypnosis sessions. That's my gift to you, and that's how confident I am that you are going to love Personal Growth Club. Go to personalgrowthclub.com and start your $1 1-month trial today. That is amazing. That is such a cool story. And, I hope people can, take something from that and understand that, really it is all about making that initial decision and then taking the action once once the manifestation is sitting there in your hands, the manifestation of that being the call that you got from, the email that you got from William Mitchell, and being able to connect those dots and being able to see that you've got like 80% of the manifestation right there. You just need, it's right there, ready for you to just go the extra, 10, 20%. And and you do have to be specific and you do have to take action.
Exactly.
And just being able to recognize, you have to sharpen your mind. This is why I think, meditation and hypnosis and all these mental techniques, I would imagine that, you have a pretty sharp mind. You get plenty of sleep, you eat the right foods, you do things to keep your mind sharp. So you're quick-witted and you're able to see those things as opportunities.
Do you know what I think it is, Victoria? I think that it is that once your eyes are open as to how it works, then miracles happen every single day, and you see them every day. Whereas previously, when I wasn't really believing that that's the way that it works, I didn't see them, but they were always there. They're there every single day, and I see them every single day.
Yeah.
I just came back from New Zealand last weekend. I presented at a workshop there. And the people that I met for the first time during dinner that was organised for me, I don't think it was an accident as to the fact that I sat across a particular lady who we had particular discussions that I really needed at that time. And she ended up doing therapy on me, at the end of my presentation for a personal issue that I had. And she had some very specific skills. There was no accident that she was there opposite me for the first time that I met her, for that dinner. There are no accidents. There are only synchronicities.
Exactly. We like to call things, coincidence, but it's not a coincidence. You drew that in. I do believe that we draw in those circumstances, but you do have to believe. You have,
Absolutely. And I'll just give you another example, which is really important in terms of my business progressing to where it is that when I first started hiring staff, hypnotherapists for HypnoFit, I went through the normal process of, contacting the schools, asking them for their best candidates, pouring through resumes, doing interviews, all that sort of time tasks. So, it takes time to hire good staff. But then when I knew how it worked, I just set the intention and did very little to get my best staff. So basically what I did was, because I knew that this is the way it was going to work, I said to myself for one of my retreats, I didn't even know who was coming to my retreat. I didn't know the people. I said, I don't know who it's going to be yet. I didn't even look at who they were, didn't research it, didn't do anything, but I'm going to choose my next staff member from my retreat.
Yes.
And it was obvious as to who it was. Obvious. And then I hired her. She's working right here now at HypnoFit, Monica Polemikos. And then I did that with all the rest of my staff, all of them. It was simply setting the intention, those staff, which are incredible. I've got a customer experience coordinator, so I knew I really needed a salesperson. And, I hired the best person for the job with one post on Facebook.
I love it.
No research, no, advertising, no nothing. She came to me and she's brilliant. So it's understanding how things work, that you've got to set the intention, you've got to believe it. What you said earlier, believe it, expect it, know it, and then take some action towards it.
You do. I'll if I could share one quick little manifestation that happened for me. It was just along the same line. So I just came back last week from the 2 back-to-back conferences, Funnel Hacking Live, followed by HPTI. Well, the first one, and I did not know how rare of an opportunity. Luckily, I didn't. I did not know how rare of an opportunity it was to meet the Russell Brunson. So like there's 4,500 of us there. There's not like he's going to be standing around, with lines of people to take pictures with him. But I said, and I set my intention that I was going to meet Russell Brunson when I was there, and I was going to get my picture taken with him. And, there was an opportunity for me that I saw, that opened up for me, that I took advantage of, and I went and I made that happen. And I have it, and I took the picture, and that's all I wanted. Now I wish that I would have maybe expanded on what I said, what I was wanting. Yeah. Maybe I want to be like Edwin C. Barnes when he said he was going to go into business with Thomas Edison. Maybe I could have gone that route and said, I want to go into business with Russell Brunson. I said I wanted to have my picture taken with Russell Brunson, and that's what I did, and that's what I got, and that's what I manifested. But, it was about, I believed it. I absolutely knew an opportunity was going to show up, and it did. And no one else, and unless you're in the 2 Comma Club, no one else got a picture taken with him. And the 2 Comma Club means you have a funnel that's generating $1 million. So, those are the only other people who got an opportunity to take their picture with them. And, and me, I got to hug him. I got to talk to him for a little while, even more than the people that are in the 2 Comma Club that got their award on stage. So that was pretty cool.
Really cool, Victoria. That is cool. And a similar thing happened to me with Wayne Dyer.
Yeah.
And Tony Robbins. So I've met both those people, and Deepak. But the Wayne Dyer thing is the most one that pulls at my heartstrings, because it happened a month before his death.
Oh my God, you are so lucky.
I was so lucky. And I actually made a statement on Facebook, and I said, I don't know how it's going to happen, but tomorrow I'm getting a picture taken with Wayne Dyer. And the circumstances of it was that I was going back to my hotel room a little bit later because I had emails to answer first, because I was at the conference that he was presenting at. But I thought, I need to get this work done first, because then I can go back to the hotel and I'll be free. And it just coincided that exactly the time I entered the foyer, there was Wayne Dyer.
Oh my God.
He hugged me, and I took a beautiful picture. He's actually hugging me in the photo, like a big hug. We had a conversation, and it happened on 2 days in a row, because I was so certain. And his heart and his soul and his presence, oh my God.
What a beautiful man he is, or was. What a beautiful.
Like, exactly as he portrayed himself was the heart that he had. There was no him thinking he was any better than anyone else. And I've got that memory forever. And that's because I was convinced it was going to happen too. So
absolutely.
4 weeks later, he was gone. So you have to take these opportunities. You have to say yes to life.
You do. And you have to, you have to do, and, like I had this pull, literally this pull, like, everyone was leaving and going home, after the end of the thing. And I'm like, go to the stage, and, it's just like, you got to listen to that inner voice.
That's it. What you've just said is really important, because I had plenty of messages before about various things, but somebody would have to hit me over the head with the message for me to actually listen. Seriously, sometimes I used to get so many people say the same thing. Like, before I started running workshops, like, Helen, you have to get out of this room. You have to run workshops. You have to run workshops. And it was only until the 10th person said it to me that I actually did it. This time, one person needs to mention something. There's one sign, and I'm there. So yes. I'm listening all the time. I'm watching all the time. And I understand that they're all messages that we have to listen to and take action on.
Absolutely. Yeah, you absolutely do. So let's get a little bit, more information like about your business and how you help clients all over the world to have successful hypnosis practices and create successful sales teams. How you know help people in their in their hypnosis practices. Like take us through that, or maybe a story, or just something that illustrates how that other people can create their own six figure, because so many people in our profession think that they literally get into this profession and then they struggle and they don't seem to know how to make a living at it. And I just think the thing is, I mean, what we do is so important. We help people to break through their limiting beliefs, and we help people to get out of pain, and we help people to feel good about themselves. I mean, what could be more important than that? And yet, people they want to give away their products and their services for free, or other people on the outside have these issues and feel like, what you do is, this altruistic thing, and you should, not be charging money for that. I mean, what is up with with that? What we do is so important. And, so I don't know, just talk on that topic a little bit, how you help people to break through that.
So, well, for me, the thing is, right from the very beginning, when I first created my business, it wasn't an option for me not to be earning good money, simply because, I had a massive mortgage. So, unlike Americans whose mortgages don't seem to be that big, mine was near $1 million. And that's not unusual in Australia. It's not like, I was a multimillionaire or anything like that. I absolutely was not, just average person. So this is an average mortgage.
Wow.
And so I could not, because I contributed 50% of the mortgage, I could not, to see if it worked, hypnotherapy worked, and then treat it as a hobby. I had to earn as much as I was earning in corporate to pay for my mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
I did not want to go back to corporate. It was not an option for me to go backwards, to go back into, this is where I found what I love. I found my purpose. I found my passion. I had to earn as much as I was earning in corporate in my first year.
Mm-hmm.
So so I made it happen because it had to happen. And so, in terms of me helping others, really, I think the biggest thing that happened in that regard was that, again, the America trip, because up to that point, I was running a lot of workshops here in Australia, live workshops. But when I knew that I was going to America, I thought, well, I need to sell them something to make this profitable, this trip. And I'm not going to be able to run live workshops there because I'm only there for a period of time. I've got to have an online product.
Mm-hmm.
So it forced me into creating my 15 steps to hypnosis business success, which to me, when I was creating that, when you're on purpose, like I would be doing it every night till 2 o'clock in the morning, and my adrenaline would be through the roof. And I'd be doing it and saying, oh my God, I can't believe how good this is. I can't believe how good this is.
Isn't that fun?
That's how I felt. I felt this electricity through my body because it felt so right. And I knew that what I had to share was just amazing. And I knew that it would change people's lives in terms of their business. And so I arrived in America in April, and I sold my online program before it was finished. So
Wow.
it wasn't actually finished till August, but I had already pre-sold. So I had to deliver because people at the conference had bought my online program, and so I had to deliver it because they'd paid me for it. So
You had to create it and finish it.
that's right. And so then it was released in August, and really from that point on, I was able to, share that with people from around the world. And following that, it was my 15 steps to hypnosis business success. And then people were asking me around, because I also teach therapy. It's almost like a therapy in a box, where it's a program that people can use this program to remove any emotional blocks that your client comes to for any particular symptom at all. So we have cause and effect. So the emotional blocks are causing the anxiety, causing the depression, causing the weight gain, causing the addictions. And so this is like, you use this and then you can move on to the symptoms. So I was only doing live workshops, and then I started getting messages from all around the world saying, can we get this online? Can we get this online? Can we get this online? I thought, okay, I've got to put this online, because people want it online. And
So these were the messages you were getting that you finally had to like pay attention to and say, yes, okay. Finally, you said yes.
exactly. And especially I got this one from Turkey, and I thought, geez, that's really random. Like, it's coming from Turkey. I think I've got to get this online therapy system out. It's not just, people that I know in the United States. It's just a completely random person.
Yes.
So
I just want to break for a second and say hello to a couple of people, Scott and Ken and Valerie. Hello, you guys.
yeah, and so it's those sort of messages that we need to listen to. When someone says to you, how about you do this? Then how about you do that? And in reverse, when I'm speaking to people and they're telling me something unique about them, and I say to them, you need to do this. There's no accident that we're having this conversation. So in Auckland, you know how I told you, Victoria, there was someone, this is just Sunday that just passed, someone was sitting opposite me and she was offering a gift that I needed. Well, I was offering a gift that she needed as well. So,
no coincidence.
no coincidence. She has this unique gift, but she didn't have the courage to put it out there. That night, she got home quite late, and she created her Facebook presence. She created based on our conversation. So her path is now changed, and so
that's so exciting.
Yeah.
And that fires me up more than anything. Like, that's the direction that I am moving into, with law of attraction, with, learning more internet marketing is helping people to like kind of, take that jump, take that leap of faith, from not living up to their true potential, not living their dream, to living their dream and doing what it is that they want to do. Like, I'm so much more passionate about that. And it sounds like you are too. I mean, I just love seeing that manifestation in other people's lives, of other people taking those.
I love it. I still get thrilled by it. So everything that happens, it just thrills me. And I always say, thank you, universe. I always, thank the universe, because it's like, give me more of that. That's just the way it needs to be. Thank you so much. And that's something I always used to do, even when I was seeing clients, that, if I got my perfect type of client, I would always say, yes, more of those clients, please.
Yeah. Yes. You want to focus on what you do want, because so many people, will, oh, I don't want any more of those kind of clients, and they'll focus on, they'll spend a lot. You got me on Facebook, Helen. Selena says, you got me on Facebook, Helen.
Yes, we said that story. You missed the story, Selena. We talked about that. So we talked
That's
about
right. That's right. Yes. Oh, and here's Janata. She says, hi, ladies. So grateful to be doing this work.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. So, and what you've just said, Victoria, is really important, because what you've said is you've got to be mindful of your negative thoughts. It's not just positive thoughts, because believe me, I've brought plenty on into my life that I was focusing on that I really could have done without. So, those negative thoughts, if you're fearing something, if there's some sort of fear about something, you will attract that negativity in your life as well.
Hello, this is Victoria Gallagher. I hope you're enjoying listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast. As a way of thanking you for listening, I'd like to offer you a one-time discount of 35% off your first order at hiptalk.com. Just go to hiptalk.com and enter the code podcast in the discount code area in your cart, and you'll receive 35% off your first order. Thank you so much for listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast. Yeah, and it's maybe not that exact circumstance, but something similar.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
goes both ways. You may not attract the exact circumstance that you're focused on that you want to create, but you will create something similar to that. It's kind of a vibration, and you'll get close to what you want, but you've got to take yourself the whole way. But you will unfortunately, if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed every morning and you dwell on that and you continue to complain about that and think about that, unfortunately,
You will attract that. You will
you're
attract that.
you're going to attract negative circumstances to you. You might, and you're going to repel the right people, because the right people don't want to be around you when you're complaining all the time.
And so, when I teach my therapists, one of the first things I teach them is that they must have a public profile on Facebook. Hence what Selena was saying. I got her on Facebook. And now look at her. She's there every
She's
day.
a Facebook queen now.
No, she was like, when I first met her, Selena said, no, 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 I live in New York and everybody knows what your business, and I just want some privacy. I just want my own life. I don't want everyone knowing everything about me. And I was like, you got to get on Facebook, girl. And she did. I did not accept her excuses. She absolutely did. And so when people say to me, but don't you, aren't you worried what people will say or do if you're completely public? And it's like, I don't live in fear. So I do not live in fear.
Right. Well,
I
and
really don't.
if you're doing the right things, who cares what people think?
Exactly. And you will still get your look. When you have a certain profile and you say certain things and you're not saying things that is on the fence, but you're saying controversial things, because I think that if you're actually saying something, you're going to say something that people don't agree with as well.
Mm-hmm.
You get your haters, and I've had plenty of them.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, that's okay. I just block them. Easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if you've been on Facebook as long as we have, what did you join Facebook, like in the early or?
As soon as it started.
Yeah.
So
So, I mean, if you've been
the
not
first thing,
hang, if you've been doing Facebook right, you probably, at the friend limit. So you can actually be be more yourself, because, and then the more you are yourself, I've found the more you are going to piss some people off. Right.
yeah,
But that kind of helps thin the herd, so you can get more people that are interested in your specific message.
exactly. You've just got to be authentic. You've got to put it out there in terms of what you do want. And, I just want to touch on what you said before, Victoria, because I think it's important. You said you opened this discussion by saying that you don't want to come across as, that kind of person that is only interested in money. Well, the thing is, whilst we're on this earth, why shouldn't we have everything that our heart desires? Because if you get your millions, it doesn't mean that somebody else is not going to.
Exactly. I want everybody else to have it
It
too.
means you're going to be putting back into the economy. Like, the more successful my business is, the greater opportunities that I have for people. So, I've hired staff. I'm able to then train more hypnotherapists who have successful businesses. There's a ripple effect that's far greater when you have the resources to do that.
It's so true. It's so true. And I know for a fact that I could reach more people and make more people happy and successful. If my business grew, if it doubled, if my business doubled, then, I have the capacity to, hire more people, to make more products, to make more apps, to go, it's a risk to go to, I'm taking a risk to go to Australia, and present there. That would, I'd be able to take more risks like that and present all over the world, because it's like, okay, well, it's not that big of a deal. Like, if I go there, I need to make sure that my time is very well spent.
The other thing is, though, Victoria, because last year I went 5 times overseas. I went 3 times
Yes.
to the
So
States.
you know what I'm talking about.
I went to New Zealand. I went all over Australia multiple times. But this is the thing, that you can't worry about the house. So, for instance, if you go overseas to Australia, which you are coming next year, and it's not profitable, that doesn't mean it's not going to be profitable down the track with the connections that you've created or with some sort of project, because that's what's been proven to me too. It's that, okay, that first trip might not have been profitable, but then the subsequent trips were,
Yeah,
because it's the universe knows no specific timeline, and
exactly.
it's not your timeline necessarily. Just because you want something, you've taken action, doesn't mean it will present itself next week. It will present itself when you least expect it.
It's so true. It doesn't always, and that's it's a really important point, Helen, to emphasize and expand on, because a lot of times, we'll write things off that like, well, that specific thing didn't produce the
Yeah,
exact result, but
yeah,
that specific thing is producing a result, and it may not come from the exact same source. I remember when I first started my hypnotherapy practice, I don't know if being in Australia, if you're familiar with the famous Jerry Kine, who, passed away, rest in peace. But I got his videotape on marketing your business. And one of the things that he suggested in this was, the one thing you want to do is you want to get yourself a great pair of shoes. And you want to walk up and down the street, where your business is, and pass out your brochure and your business card to everyone you know. And so I did that. I walked up and down the street and I gave my brochure to every person that I knew. And none of those people were calling. But what was happening is suddenly the ads that I had in the Las Vegas Weekly and the yellow pages, that gives you an idea how long ago I started my business.
yeah.
The phone was ringing, but it wasn't from those stupid business cards and the stupid brochures I was passing out. But I guarantee you it was because of that activity.
Yes, yes,
You know?
absolutely, because one of my people that I adore, and I've met him as well, done his course, had big conversations with Mike Dooley, and Mike Dooley, absolutely adore, and he talks about the cursed house. That was the biggest thing that I've taken away from Mike Dooley is, you don't worry about the cursed house. The how will work itself out for you.
Yes, putting it in motion is the energy. I'll go to Australia, okay, and I'll present, and whatever happens there happens. And same thing in the UK, and same thing in all these other places that I'm going. But you know what? It'll be 100 new people will probably mysteriously subscribe to my new HypnoCloud app.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely, Victoria, absolutely. For
So
sure.
it's like, the energy just flows. It just flows, and you don't exactly, you can focus your intention on a very specific outcome, and it may manifest in that exact very specific way, but also you just have to be open to it showing up in some other way.
Exactly. And that's another thing that I do different these days. When I first started running workshops and so on a number of years ago, I used to be more attached to the outcome. So I would say, oh, I have to convert X amount of people because these are my costs, these are my expenses, this is what I have to do. So I'd be attached to the outcome. I'm not like that anymore.
Yeah, you want to
So
compartmentalize it and have it
I'm not.
organized. And
So I went to New Zealand. It costs money to fly to New Zealand last weekend. Facebook ads, all the rest of it. I'm not attached to the outcome, and yet I converted 10 people, and they're flying across to the Gold Coast for my May retreat. So
yeah.
10 people, from another country are flying to me, just from one half-day workshop. So I'm not attached to the outcome, and that is important.
Yeah, and attachment, it's fear. It's a
Yes,
fear-based.
exactly, exactly.
If you're attached to something, it means you don't believe it's going to happen.
Or that you fear that it may not happen. That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a fear that it may not happen, and so you want it to happen. And that kind of desperation is not positive.
No, it makes you feel bad.
Yeah. And then you
It-
don't attract what you need. So By not being attached to the outcome, by really believing, expecting, and knowing that everything will be fine. It always is, and setting the intention and taking some action towards that.
Yeah. There's a fine line, and yet it's like me, it makes all the difference in the world between expecting something to happen and being attached to
Yes,
something happening.
yes, yes, because you expect it, but then if it doesn't happen, you're okay with it.
Yeah. I expect
You're
this
okay
to
because
happen, but I'm not going to be like, I actually, in my book, I have and I hate it when I do this. I like, this is your show. I'm interviewing you. And then I go,
fine.
I go on and start talking about
No,
my
it's
stuff.
really,
I just get excited.
yeah, of course. That's okay.
But yeah, just on that note, I'll say, I have this, it's the what if scenario that helps you to detach. It's like, well, what, and I have people actually create a new alternative that is even better. So like, just imagine that the thing that you really are attached to doesn't happen. What could be even better than that? And they come up with a whole even better story for
Oh,
themselves.
I
So it
love that.
kind of, yeah, it
Love
kind of helps them to let go.
I love that. An even better story. And that's what happens too. Like for me visiting Graceland, an even better story came out of that, which
It,
was then, having a brand new market in the United States and meeting
yes.
wonderful people like you.
I know. I'm so thrilled that I got to meet you, during New York and during Las Vegas. And now we're going to be, I don't know, several conferences over the next year. It's going to be pretty fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to see you in New York in May at
New
Hypnobiz.
York in May, and then you're going to be in Midland again in October?
I'm trying to work it out. So, because my retreat comes very close, my October retreat in Surface Paradise is just a couple of days away from Chicago. So that's uncertain at this stage. But definitely see you in New York in May at Hypnobiz New York, which will be fun.
That
It'll be
will be fun. That will be fun. Going on a cruise.
yeah, it'll be amazing.
So, do you have any final, like, tips or techniques or anything that you'd like to share with our
Yeah,
audience to kind of help put them into a more manifesting mindset? It's one thing that we can share about our experiences and brag about what queens of manifestations we are, but like, what can a person that is a hypnotist, and maybe in some other business, could work for anything. But what would you recommend they do? What would be your,
yeah. So the first thing I would recommend is that don't compare your journey to someone else's. So first of all, there's a lot of things happening because that could create fears and insecurities. I actually don't watch my competitors' journeys. So I don't watch them at all because I'm focused on me, I'm focused on my goals, I'm focused on my mission and my passion and my however long it takes for me to achieve my goals. That's about me.
yeah,
Don't compare your journey to someone else's. That's There's always someone behind you and there's always someone ahead of you on this road.
so
Always.
true. So
Always.
true.
So don't worry about the people around you. Just focus on yourself. Focus on what it is that you want specifically,
Yeah.
and when we say what do you want specifically, you might want to speak in front of an international audience, or you may just want your practice to be full. It doesn't matter what you want. It's just that you need to be focused on the outcome as opposed to that particular specific detail of how it's going to happen. So make sure that you let go of the cursed houses, Mike Dooley says. Don't worry about
Yes.
the visualize every day. It's just as important as brushing your teeth. Visualize every day, only 5 minutes. If it's any longer than 5 minutes, it becomes a daydream, okay? So 5 minutes visualization and be very specific. And then you have to take some action towards it because visualizing, as we both know, is not enough. You have to
Yeah.
be an action taker. You have to take action, consistent action every day towards your goals. And, one thing that I've always done is I write down my goals in the present moment. This is what I'm doing. I am doing this. I have sold these online programs. I have presented, and then they come true and you tick them off. And how good does that feel?
It
So,
does feel good. It does feel good. And there is something mysteriously powerful about when you write things down. And all of the things
yeah,
that you
yeah.
suggested, I mean, these are really important. Let me just say hello. See, I saw Lisa Millicent come on, and let's see, and say hi. Carolyn says hi, ladies.
Hey, hello.
Yeah. Okay, so what you said though is so important. The visualization, how you talk to yourself, writing things down. It is a mystery to me how that works, but I find so much, and I teach because of practical law of attraction. I teach, that it's not about magic, but there is some magic. There is magic. I just, I don't expect you to don't depend on there being magic. You know what I
Yes,
mean? So that's the thing. There just does seem to be something magical about writing things down.
absolutely. And I'll just leave you with one more thing, which
Yeah.
is whenever I see somebody, we talked about there's people behind us and there's people ahead of us. So whenever I see somebody ahead of me doing something that I want to do, I always say to myself, if he can do that, I can do that too.
That's your
Always,
motto. That's your
always.
motto. I love that. And it is
My
so
motto
true.
is, if I can do it, you can do it too.
Yep.
There's no
That's
reason why you can't. So if I can do something, then you can do it too.
Let's see. Lisa Hubbard said hi, Victoria. Hi, Helen.
Hey.
That is such good advice. And I do like that. I mean, the two things there, not comparing where you're at with somebody else, because if you start going down that road, you're never ever going to be satisfied. Because even if you have the conversation, I'm doing better than that person, that also means that you're having the conversation. On the other hand, that person
Yes.
is doing better than me. And when you start
Yes.
entering in that conversation, you will never be satisfied. You have to just, you can compare, but what you need to compare is, how am I doing compared to how I was doing last year? And that's, and when you even have to be careful when you're comparing that, because, you're always doing your best with your present level of awareness.
Mm,
And maybe this year you went through a divorce, or maybe you went through a death in the family, or maybe you went through a health issue, and so even going down that path can be a little dangerous. So, just try to, like Helen said, avoid that comparison
absolutely.
conversation. Just,
Yeah.
look for what you want, and know that if Helen can do it, if I can do it, if Selena can do it, if anyone can do it, you can do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No one was blessed with anything more than the other person. We all have a brain in our head. We all have a heart. We all have body. We all have, all of the abilities to do all of these things. Let me just read real quick what Carolyn says. She says, I wish I could add my picture of my written goal list. I learned this technique from Helene Hadsell. She worked for Jose Silva. And I already achieved one of 4 goals for 2019. Congratulations, Carolyn. That's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, you can add a picture of your written goal list on the comments. Just take a picture of it and add it, and we'd love to look at it.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
So wonderful. Well, it's just been so fun having you on our Facebook Live / the Power of Your Mind podcast. I'm glad that I kind of came up with this idea last minute to say,
Yeah.
hey, let's just do this live.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more fun.
Yeah, it's just been thrilling to have you on and inspiring. And, you've just always been, since I've known you, a really inspiring person to me. And I know, obviously, you've been inspiring many, many other people. So I just want to thank you and say I'm really grateful to you to, for putting yourself out there and doing what you do, being Helen, being the authentic person that you are, not afraid to take these risks, not afraid to listen to your voice and do it. So thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for having me on this wonderful show. Thank you
Thank
very much.
you. And thank you all for watching, and thank you for tuning in to the Power of Your Mind podcast.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks again for listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast. After our conversation today, Helen surprised me with a little gift that she's sharing with you, my listeners, where she's going to show you in her free webinar how she made $165,000 in her first year of hypnotherapy. So you can join her on her webinar, which is normally a $99 value, as she shares with you her trials and tribulations, breakthroughs, and screw-ups to cracking 6 figures in her hypnotherapy practice. And you can join her webinar by going to the link helenmidas.com/how-I-made-165K-webinar. Again, it's a $99 value, free today to listeners of Power of Your Mind podcast by going to her site, helenmidas.com/how-I-made-165K-webinar. Thanks again for listening, and we'll do it again next week. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends. And once again, be sure to subscribe to the Power of Your Mind podcast if not already. We can be found as Hip Talk on all our social media accounts. So like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and sign up for your free self-hypnosis video training course at hiptalk.com. Be sure to subscribe to the Power of Your Mind podcast, and you'll be instantly notified the moment the next podcast becomes available. Also, please be sure to leave a rating and a review to tell us how you're enjoying these episodes, and that way you're making a contribution toward others getting to share in this valuable information. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. You've been listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast, brought to you by HipTalk.com.